All right. Welcome back to the Rice Report, everybody. Eric Rice here, your host. Obviously, it's a name and the show are the same. The place where we talk about the three things you're not supposed to: money, politics, and religion. And we let everything go wild. Truth is truth. We want to get it out there. We want to hear all types of opinions. And I think that from time to time, there are times to just buckle in on what's important and what's right in front of our face. And the state of California, I just interviewed a gubernatorial candidate yesterday. The state of California is a mess. If you haven't noticed it, if you live there, you've noticed it. If you live there and haven't noticed it, God bless you. Open your eyes. But it is a mess. It is a wreck. And now this Prop 50 is on the docket right now. So we have brought in one of my favorite people, Tom Del Beccaro, historian, guy knows everything. Let's talk about Prop 50. Let's talk about what's going on there today. Here, Tom.
Always good to be on. Thanks for having me on. So there's many ways to look at this. Principally, it is Gavin Newsom running for president, wants to be seen as a fighter for the Democrats. So he creates this process whereby California would be redistricted and 5 Republican seats be taken away. That's the surface. What Americans need to understand is this isn't about California alone. Because if 5 seats left the Republicans and went to the Democrats, that happened today. Of course, the Democrats would be charged in the House. Then they would start impeaching Trump. On and on. You can write a whole book or 1,000 about that. So this is a serious issue facing the United States. Prior to Newsom, there was a constitutional amendment that was passed. And what that did was create an independent commission. And that commission decided the congressional, assembly, and Senate seat lines in California. So what Gavin Newsom would like to do, I don't know if you can see my air quotes, temporarily for 3 elections, suspend the Constitution and allow the legislature to draw these seats, and the map they've drawn would eliminate a bunch of Republicans. But at the end of the day, Eric, what would happen is that this would lead to job flight and even faster business flight and families leaving as the state tilts really far, even farther to the left. Hard to imagine, you used to live there, even farther to the left. And then given the voter registration would balloon for the Democrats, and then they would make this permanent, and it would hurt the entire nation, including bringing the California economy down. And we need a good California economy. The nation needs jobs. So on many levels, this is a disaster. So I've formed with some experts, electionfairness.com. That's electionfairness.com. You can see that down below in the Chiron, electionfairness.com. What we're going to do is help push out the vote to defeat Prop 50.
So what they're wanting to do, and the strange thing here is for 3 elections. So we just need 3 elections to totally rig it. They've done the math. Like I know for certain it'll only take 3 until it's permanently destroyed, because ideologies are like a boat, right? Like if you're far right, you're far left, you're close to tipping over. And this, I mean, in California, the water's coming in through the side of the boat right now. And you're going into pure communistic points of view, number one, socially. But 3 years, where did they get this 3-year? I mean, I know where they got the 3-year number, right? Like we all know that. Like after 3 years, we can make it a permanent law, and this is the zoning changes that are permanent. That's the intention. But
yeah, I guess it's the 2026 election, the 2028 election, and the 2030 election, and then they would redistrict, and then 2032 it would go back. But you have every right to be cynical because, I don't know, our eyes are open. And I agree with you. I think they're just going to make this permanent. Why wouldn't they? Sure. More people will have left the state. The voter registration, which is in around a 20% advantage now, would probably be around 25 by then, maybe 30. And then they say, well, let's just keep it. California would be that one-party state, which, as you described, look, it's number one in unemployment, number one in poverty, in the high 40s in crime, number one in homelessness, in the high 40s bad in education. And it is the least affordable state. Now, this isn't me or you making this up. This is U.S. News and World Report ranking, had them as the 50th in affordability, dead last, and dead last in opportunity. I mean, what else, Eric, is is there for a quality of life? Crime, homelessness, unaffordable, yada, yada. New Jersey, don't mean to filibuster here, but New Jersey's squawking about energy bills right now. But if you compare an energy bill in New Jersey, it ain't nothing compared to California still.
Nothing. I mean, people are paying, so I'm in energy. People are paying 55 cents per kilowatt hour in California, 55 cents. In Texas, we're paying in some areas 8 or 9 cents. New Jersey is paying about, if I remember right, about 38 cents per kilowatt hour. They're not even close. That's just your energy bill in a state that endorses and wants to force electric cars.
Like, yeah, and who does energy bills hurt the most?
The poorest of the poor.
Because it's a huge percentage of their budget. You're 100% right. The rich who live in LA and San Francisco and dominate the legislature, they're okay with this because they can survive it. But you're right. It's very retrogressive and hurts the poor.
All these things hurt. Inflation hurts the poor more than anyone. You know, I hang around rich guys. I hang around economists and all these other guys. And I hear this conversation when I say, hey, listen, the economy is not what you think it is. There's a lot of falsehood. CPI is fake. The unemployment numbers are fake. These are boosting markets for asset prices. And I know, and they always say, well, I don't feel it. Well, of course you don't. You're worth millions of dollars and you're less than 5% of the buying population. The other 95%, they're feeling it real bad. And in California, there's no opportunity.
Erica, that is so true. Nobody should trust the job numbers. CPI, they've changed from when it was the Jimmy Carter days, which is why Trump is right when he says could have been the worst inflation, if not the worst inflation we've had. Maybe not ever, but in the 1800s, there were some issues, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And if you have done what I've done, which is go throughout California over the years, traveled it relentlessly, back roads, and see the way some people really live, they are on the margins.
Yes.
And so the lack of water and all these things, you're right. But the elites, they don't feel it. And that's why this continues to go on. That's what I've said a million times. If Americans really knew what government was doing, or politicians really cared about how these people were living their lives, we'd have a different world. But look, that's not history. That's not politics. So you have Chuck Schumer saying that whatever he's saying today about, there's this great thing out there of all the times he said, you should never shut down the government over policy differences. And yet here we are.
Yeah, I mean, the idiocracy that comes out of Washington, D.C. these days is astounding. And in California, talking about living on the margins there, the employment rate. So statistically, this just came out on Forbes yesterday. 53% of college graduates cannot find a job in 12 months while we're piling H-1B visas into these mega corporations that normally would hire them. Most of these corporations are in California. This is the epicenter of replacing college graduates with H-1B visas who are primarily not trained in their area of expertise. They come to America and receive the training. And the reason they hire them is because they know they're not going to quit in 3 years or 6 years. So California has this huge deficit, massively expensive out-of-state tuition for colleges. Then you graduate colleges and you're paying $5,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. You need 4 roommates to get by while you're working at Burger King with a college degree in computer science. And nobody is doing anything. And here's the worst part, Tom. You remember the recall election of Gavin Newsom?
I was chairman of the group that raised $6 million to put it on the ballot. So it's roughly in my memory somewhere.
Yeah. So I just found it ironic because the devil works in mysterious ways that he got 66.6% of the vote.
So wait a minute. You think it's just a coincidence that he won, even though millions signed, and that he won by the same exact? How would something like that occur? I don't know what.
It's just so strange. Just these coincidences keep mounting themselves. And I know you and I are both believers. The word coincidence doesn't exist in the Bible. So it just doesn't exist. It's not there. And it's not a miracle either when people are getting destroyed.
So 2 good things are happening in California in the sense that there is a bit of an awakening. Right now, voter registration is moving towards Republicans. There could well be a voter ID initiative. It's not the most perfect in the history of mankind, but it would be a big advancement. that may be qualifying. So if we can defeat Prop 50, hopefully put up a roadblock to Newsom becoming or getting the nomination, because the only thing worse than Kamala Harris, who would be a bumbler in office, would be Newsom, who would purposely drive us off the cliff, as he has California, right? But if we can defeat this and get Prop 50 defeated and then get a voter ID on the ballot next year, you could see some change. So go to electionfairness.com and help us with that.
Electionfairness.com, definitely good for education as well, to learn about these topics. And you're right. I don't care if you don't live in California. You need to pay attention to this, because they have so many electoral votes that if they have all of them, which they kind of do anyway, Tom, like, let's be realistic. These are not elections when you're allowed to print off your own ballot, mail it in, put your dog's name on it, and it counts. These are not real. These are fake.
It was a good-looking dog that voted. I don't know why you're.
It looked like a pure breed. It's probably very expensive, but it probably came from an elite home as well. I mean, having lived in Los Angeles and San Diego is great. It's changed, but LA, wow. Do not try to talk about mask mandates or the other side of politics, because you will be ostracized from society.
It's funny you say that. I fly in and out, and I see people in the airport in their masks, and on and on and on. San Francisco, had an amazing mall on Market Street.
Yes.
You went into that place, and I remember the first time I went into it, it was a cathedral of shopping. I don't want to necessarily use that word, but it was amazing. It's at 5% occupancy right now. 5%, and it's about to be auctioned off. It's just a travesty. But these are choices of policy, and good citizens need to step up and help change these things, which is why we got to defeat Prop 50 and put voter ID on the ballot.
Here's another rebound story, because we're going to be positive here, Tom, about California. Here's another rebound story. So I think his name is Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver for the San Francisco Giants. He's having a great season this year, but last year he couldn't play because I think he went to that mall and got shot.
Yes.
By a random person. Got shot. And I don't believe the guy who shot him's been caught yet. I don't have verification of that, but some guy shot him. He missed his entire rookie season in the NFL, but he's having a great one now. So that's there's a
yes,
positive.
And you mentioned that of not getting caught. So George Soros, who's playing in Prop 50, he's put money in. Also, George Soros, who put in these bad DAs. He put in the DA in San Francisco, Chesa Boudin, who's been recalled. He put in the bad DA in Alameda County across the way. She was recalled. We have a recall going in where my home is in Contra Costa, another bad DA from Soros. I don't know whether ultimately they'll prevail, but there is this, awakening. Even the Democrats tyrant, Prop 36, which ratcheted up the penalties again. Only Newsom and the legislature won't fund it because, they're against it. So but Eric, he's the great protector of democracy. You may vote, but he won't actually honor your vote. We voted to amend the Constitution for this specific process. He doesn't honor it. We wanted to ramp up the penalty. He doesn't honor it, but trust him. Put him in charge of the presidency, and he will save democracy for you and me. Stay tuned for more news.
Actually, statistically speaking, historically speaking, you're a historian too. He would actually save democracy, but he would let the republic fall.
There you go.
All democracies turn into communism throughout history unless they have a constitutional republic backing it. Yeah. So, if you already have a guy who's wanting to alter the Constitution to change it in favor of his political party to gain power, every Californian, whether you're right, left, center, don't give a crap, you need to understand what's happening. And before we started recording, we were talking about law changes. I mean, in California, the one that forced me, the final straw for me in California was actually, taxes is a big straw. The final straw for me to go from California to Texas was when Gavin Newsom signed this. I don't remember the prop number, but in California, if you're, say, 25 years old and you rape a 16-year-old girl, you don't have to register as a sex offender because you're within 10 years of age. Within 10 years of age. Yeah. Pedophile laws are non-existent in that state, and that's the governor. The governor can actually change that.
I'm trying to think, it's 2009. they had a bill that said about child pornography, that they wanted to lower the penalties for each single piece of pornography, but they considered a single piece to be a CD, no matter how many photos you had on it. CD, to tell you how long ago this is. But you're right. The crazy thing is that the legislature is even more left than Gavin Newsom, and that Nancy Pelosi is moderate in her San Francisco district. Nevertheless, people love to hate California, I get it, but it's 16% of the national economy. We need healthy industries for jobs for the whole country because it affects the whole country. By the way, the biggest lithium deposit in America is in Southern California to the east of San Diego, and that's going to be developed. But what we can't let happen is California to go completely blue. Because they'll screw all that up, right? They could lose money being given gold. They'd find a way to resell it and blow it. So, and California is gold. It should be, right? The golden state. So it's important, and I'm glad you're highlighting this today, because we can't let the House go to the Democrats to impeach Trump, nor can we let California become completely blue and screw up that the natural resources which they would ban our use. And look, if the smart thing about Trump economics and foreign policy is that we should not be buying essential products from our enemies.
1,000%.
The first thing in history that two warring powers do is cut off trade, except for the United States, of course, which has been buying Middle East oil and Chinese products since the beginning of time, it seems.
Yeah, and I think that's where the battle will come, is for that lithium deposit. And in that area, they're going to say, first of all, they're going to fight it on the environmental side and say mining lithium is bad for the environment, which actually is a trap, because it's way worse for the environment than drilling oil, right? A lithium mine is really actually pollutive. But then they're going to say, well, we're going to mine the lithium, but we're going to use it for electric vehicles. When the reality is we need it for weapon systems. We need it to be able to get away from Chinese dependency on minerals and natural elements that we need to build things. This couldn't be more important, actually. I'm glad that we're talking about Prop 50. I had no idea that this was happening beforehand. But it's just a series of nonsensical political ideologies that have gone through this state the entire time I lived there. But if you look back through history, this really began right around like the middle of the Schwarzenegger gubernatorial reign. So this is what happens when you hire actors, and then you hire Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
I'm smiling because he pushed through the big green bill.
Yes.
In effect for California. Excuse me. And Chevron went along with this because Chevron knew that it would force out its competitors.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, where is Chevron located now? Texas.
Yep.
They moved to Houston because they gave up on the state, and they started not long after that, right? They've been doing this for 10 years. It's just short-sighted. You feed the alligator, he gets your neighbors, but sooner or later he comes to your door.
One of my favorite sayings, and I think that was Winston Churchill, right? Appeasement is like feeding the alligator and hoping it eats you last. It's one of my favorite things. So you have that. You have, a big catastrophe coming out of the, non-political people is the home office of In-N-Out Burger. Traditionally a very California company, is now in Tennessee. And I live in Dallas. We're prospering from the bad policy of California. Every business is moving here. Jobs are actually not as bad here as they are throughout the world because we have all these new companies. Where do we go with this? How long does Newsom have left on the clock? A year? Does he still have a year or 2 years?
14 months, 15 months.
15 months.
And so he's going to declare for the presidency in December of 2026, right after the midterms. And he's just going to say what matters on the left is not what you accomplish,
just winning elections.
The virtue signal, the flag you wave. And he's going to say, I fought for you on abortion. I fought for you on climate change. And I stood up to Trump. And Eric, he's number one in several polls for the Dem primary. Now, we can make the argument of whether he's peaked too early in this process.
Sure.
But what matters is what you say, not what you accomplish. AOC, Sanders, what have they ever accomplished? Right?
Zero. Bernie's good at lying about not taking money from pharmaceutical companies, though. He's a tremendous liar. But he's
a great capitalist. He makes tons of money.
He has 4 homes that are all bigger than mine. And but he pales in comparison to Gavin Newsom. This guy is the greatest liar that I've ever seen in my life. I honestly just assume now at this point what comes out of his mouth, the opposite is true. Even if he said the sky was green, I would probably, or blue, I would say it's probably green. I would actually doubt myself. Yeah, but right. Newsom, how do you stop this? He's number 1 in polling for presidency on the Democrat side. California is run completely by Democrats. It's a one-party state already, not fully, but pretty close for years. How does this end? Are you going to have Democrats become Republicans to vote on this? How do you reach out to Democrat voters to get rid of Prop 50?
Well, they're bottoming out on issues. They bottomed out on crime.
Yeah.
But they were thwarted. They bottomed out on homelessness. Periodically, it gets cleaned up. Newsom fought the lawsuit to force the cleanups. Now he's trying to champion it. They almost bottomed out on water. In my speeches, I say to Republicans, Kim, you guys agree with Kim Kardashian, and they look at me like, I have 3 heads and horns. But, the Kardashians want to water their lawn as well. They've bottomed out on the fire issue. They don't buy the climate change thing when they see the incompetence. Look at Mayor Bass. I wrote a piece for Fox not that long ago about how Bass, Johnson in Chicago, and the communists to be in New York are going to define the party. So you and I both know throughout all of history, big government fails. Right. And all big governments are corrupt. Not necessarily the person in office at any one moment is corrupt, but just as Mr. Tesla, Elon Musk showed that they just grift off of government. Yep. and make all this money. I mean, Gavin Newsom's wife has a nonprofit which Gavin Newsom pushes his donors to give to her so she can have a $250,000 or $350,000 salary and, whatever. So it fails, but in California, there hasn't been a viable alternative. At the end of the day, you have to provide a viable alternative that provides practical solutions to fix problems. Prop 36 did that. It passed with 69 point something %. Tons of Democrats voted for it. But there hasn't been a follow-up. They haven't made it a national issue that Gavin Newsom hasn't done X, Y, and Z. Like with this shutdown. Normally there's a shutdown and Republicans hunker down. I'm glad that every day they are making some sort of argument in the press so that the Democrats don't own the issue. But as you and I both know, at $2 trillion annual deficits, and we're going to hit 50 by the new decade, no one is serious. I got my little thing here showing.
Your camera keeps moving.
I can't believe I did that. I pushed it away. Anyway, come back. I screwed that up. Sorry about that.
There you are.
Anyway, here's the poster. What total spending in American history, all right, from the 1800s. Which way do I got to go?
You're good.
Next to my thumb, that mountain of blue is the last 50 years.
Yep.
Now, please tell me that is somehow sustainable. It is, of course, not sustainable. And we have to get serious about this. And spending, I wrote a piece, I think, in the Epoch Times, I don't know how long ago, saying, or maybe it was Fox, that the greatest threat to democracy is excessive government spending, because that's what eventually, of course, the Weimar Republic, right, in between the First and Second World Wars in Germany, but eventually it bankrupts it. And what happens when democracies bankrupt? Well, it turns to a centralized government, which is in part what you were alluding to before.
Yes.
Now, whether I can ever get my camera back is a different issue. Hopefully, it'll come back. Sorry about that. I'm not
You're good. You're good.
a great technician, but it should.
Tom does not write articles on tech support or technology integration. It's all good. It's all good.
It should be coming back. I don't know why it's coming back. It's not coming back.
That's right. We got a little circle with an icon that pulses when you speak, so we know it's still you, Tom. You haven't been AI'd yet. That's not happening yet in this episode.
It's not going to come back. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We only have a couple minutes left anyway. So there we go. There you are. There's a handsome face. We got you back.
Yeah, something
Perfect.
like that.
No, the government spending is, we talk about the federal government and their spending overreach, and it's pretty obvious at this point that there's just pure looting of the treasury. Like it's pretty obvious. I don't care what political party people are. Both sides are looting the treasury right now at the expense of the citizens. This happens at the end of all of these types of cycles. But the state of California, if it were the size of the national government, that chart you just showed would be even higher based on population and the size of the state. Here's a guy.
They have a $350 billion budget.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that drives me nuts about it is the percentage of that is spent on, quote, not essentials, and then go look at the essentials. So to me, Milton Friedman, what is essential? A court system,
Yes.
A justice system, roads, and then you can make the argument about education
And national defense.
Well, I meant for California.
Yeah.
The roads suck in California.
Horrible.
Education in the 40s.
Horrible.
Crime among the worst in the country. And the justice system, it's a little known fact that the justice system is underfunded in California. So as a result, what you get is a big delay in cases, right? And who does that hurt? It hurts the poor, because if they're actually injured or you have a breach of contract claim, it doesn't get resolved in a timely fashion. So you have to give up. And who does that help? The corporations, big corporations that screw you. By the way, I don't know how much time we have left.
You're good.
But
You're good.
I am at this moment in time, and I get it. I know you get it. But the idea that the left has embraced big pharma is just insanity to me. Suddenly, the biggest companies in the world you're fans of, after spending your whole career telling me that capitalism sucks?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just remember back about 20 years. 20 years ago, I remember being in California, and the first parents that started being anti-vax, right? The anti-vaccine movement for your kids, those were all liberal leftists, all of them. And now that's conservative people are anti-vax. Actually, it's people of all spectrums, but they're endorsing that. I'm gonna be a fair player here too, because Donald Trump was just meeting with the CEO of Pfizer at the White House yesterday. Basically, now here's where things get convoluted online. So let's make it clear here. They are not getting $70 billion from the government. They are invested. He is making them invest $70 billion into U.S. research for Pfizer. To me, not good enough after what happened in that pandemic. He should never be allowed in the White House, in my opinion. But if nothing else,
Bobby Kennedy's look at him from the back.
But I also saw Bobby Kennedy laughing in the scene before that photo was snapped. So okay, we don't know. We don't know.
Here's the thing about, quote, anti-vax. I want every vaccine to be constantly updated, reviewed, and made sure that it is safe before it goes to anybody.
Of course.
Why is that a radical idea? This is what I don't understand. And then the lunacy of the left on Tylenol. Folks, Tylenol says we do not recommend this for pregnant women. So why is it radical to say you should follow the label? Why are we radical when we simply say the vaccine supply should be constantly checked. We do that with everything else.
Yes.
But we haven't done it enough, and we haven't done it with the food supply. And thank God, suddenly we're taking out dyes that have been that you can't put in your hair, but you can put it in your system, and you can't do in Europe. Why is this crazy? I made a comment to a Trump official about this, Trump administration official. The cleaning up of the food supply, and I'm sorry, big food is not on your side.
No,
right?
No.
And no one said, I am for free enterprise. I'm not for big business, right?
Biden put the head of Monsanto in charge of the food supply. The guy who's paid billions of dollars poisoning and killing people has been in charge of the food supply, guys.
Okay, so if we clean up the food supply and reduce the obesity and whatever, the government savings is astronomical, because Medicare has to pay for all these people who've eaten this bad food, and it blows up the budget with costs for diabetes and everything you can imagine. So if you care about Medicare, because there are people who really need it,
yes,
then you should want to clean up the food supply, because that will reduce the costs. Medicare and Social Security are not going to be around if we're funding USAID and we don't clean up the food supply and on. Well, you and I could go on and on, but I do want people to visit, not because visit electionfairness.com. We should simply want more from the government we think we should have, which you and I obviously are limited government people. But we cannot have this process where California falls off the cliff. People ask me, why do I still care about California? What, look, I'm originally from New York. I'm still a Jet fan. That's complete irrationality. I care about California. You should care about California, and we can't let it go off the edge. And we want a better life for our people. And so let's get rid of Prop 50, get voter ID, and make a change.
Agreed. And this whole, and I hear it all the time too. Why do you, because I don't live in Cal. I'm not from Cal. I'm from Chicago. I didn't grow up in California. I lived there for 15 years. Met some amazing people. It's a beautiful place. It was a beautiful place. They've really, like, neighborhoods look terrible now. No roads, or there's garbage everywhere in LA. But it's 40 million we are Americans. 40 million Americans are being held hostage. And the fact of the matter is, I'll go back to one point before we wrap. You talked about the crime. Now, I look at these numbers all the time, and I look at things that happen in other states. What happens when you have a court system that doesn't have funding? You're giving criminals who are out on bail all the time in the world to flee the state, and they're committing crimes in Cincinnati and Houston and Chicago and Philadelphia. They're being arrested, and like, this person's from California. Just watch the news. So the only export California has right now is lunacy and crime. That's the main export of the state right now.
Do you remember not that long ago, there was that big Airbnb, right where, like 8 miles from my house, the big party they had.
Oh, yeah.
And the murders?
Yes.
They know who committed the murders. Do you know what hasn't happened? None of them have been charged.
Are you kidding me?
That's how bad it is. I have a close friend who, you remember that video recently where the people were beaten in, I think, was it Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, yeah.
All right. My friend, who I'm now representing him, was beaten in a similar fashion. No charges. It's been 2 months. It's on video. 3 people were beaten. His girlfriend, himself, and then someone who came to help. It's horrific. No charges. George Soros, DA, for the county. We can't keep going this way, folks. So let's defeat Prop 50 and save the House and start, look.
We got to do something.
If you don't mind, I'll finish with this quote of Franklin. Everybody knows, and it's how I won't give that away. Everybody knows Franklin was asked by a woman, what type of government is it? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. And the most important word he said in there was you. He didn't say if your leaders could keep it because he knew they wouldn't.
Yep.
He said you, meaning the individual. Madison used to say the most important person in a democracy or a republic is the individual, the citizen. That's us. So we need to keep it. Let's defeat Prop 50 and go from there.
Yes, we've all forgotten that rights come with responsibilities. You don't just get your rights. Couldn't agree more. Tom Del Beccaro.
You got your rights from government. I don't know, as Tim Kaine said, which is like the most obscene thing. Really? So government, an inanimate object, which is just somewhere on paper, gave you your rights.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
He forgot the whole creator word in that document. Yeah, we've gotten so far away from logic. It's unbelievable. Tom, thank you so much for coming on here today. Prop 50, electionfairness.com. Everybody go there, take a look at it. Even if you're not from California, root for these people. They are your fellow Americans. They are part of this country. They're a huge part of the economy, and we need that to get better there. So, Tom, God bless you. God bless this country, and we'll see you next time here on the Rice Report. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.